maybe let York start on that, and then I'll tap in.
Well, it's definitely true, but it's probably also a price of civilization that we find these constituents which do play a role, beside caffeine is maybe up for question, but pharmaceuticals definitely play an important role in our daily life, and many other chemicals such as flame retardants are very important. And you see that some of these compounds are making into waterways, and they find we can find them and trace them at very minute concentrations. Is there a health risk? Not necessarily. So we need to really, I think, find the proper balance between where's the risk to public health and how far we want to treat.
But somebody hears flame retardants and they know that they're associated with cancers at certain levels. So they say, why is that my drinking water? Why should we allow? What's the case to be made that you can allow a certain level of flame retardants to end up in the water?
Well, there are definitely certain risks we accept in our daily life, right? We drive a car, and if you look at the risk we have by drinking tap water, which might have a minute concentration of these flame retardants, and we compare it to the risk we're exposed to by living our life, that's a really minute risk. It's 1 in a million. So the cancer risk we are faced today in this country is 1 in 3 and 1 out of 4 is likely to get cancer, and that's not coming from drinking water. That's coming from many other sources potentially.
Andy, did you want to add to that?
Well, a couple things. Yeah. So the relative exposure is something that people should consider. So you can go to these extremely high levels of treatment, which come with a very high level of cost. If you were wanting to get out this as you said, the grain of sand in the football stadium. So you could go to that extent, and you're going to pay the dollars to build the facility. You're going to have the energy that you're using to run the facility and the cost to operate it. And have you really improved public health is an important question, because coming out for this today or yesterday, I flew out on a plane where I got my fill of exposures of flame retardants. They're all over any kind of transportation that you take. The other thing is that there has actually recently completed a very detailed study right here in Florida looking at, well, if we wanted to remove them, not should we, but if we wanted to, what are the costs, and laying out the technologies. And it can be pretty expensive, depending on how far you want to go. So it's really a balance between, of course, public health is the top priority, but then you say, okay, well, what is the advantage of additional treatment?
Bart, what would you say to that?
Well, to add to that, we've looked at what it would cost for us to treat all of our water down to the level that's proposed or was proposed by EPA in January. And that cost is $300 to $500 million to build, and then more money to operate. That would create at least 100% rate increase on our wastewater system. So we would be raising rates tremendously. Right. Something unprecedented.
All right, well, let's continue with that thought. We can clean the water, but how do we do it, and what's the cost? We've asked Carter to take a look at the yuck factor.
Anyone for a dip? I don't think so. That water has serious high yuck factor. Whew. But now this, more like it. But would you believe that could become this? Yes, it can, and I'm not kidding. You take 2 molecules of hydrogen over here and 1 molecule of oxygen over there, smoosh them together, and presto, you've got H2O, water. And water is water, even when you add other stuff to it. We all know what rolls downhill. Rainfall. And even though the hills in Florida don't amount to much, the runoff from our streets and parking lots and driveways and parks and everywhere else rides the rainfall from our homes and businesses to our waterways. And quite a ride it is. That stuff adds other molecules to the lovely H2O combination. It's still H2O, but now it's got an entourage of hangers-on, like a rock star with a posse. I know, it's not like water hasn't been around the block a time or two. There is no such thing as new water. Every drop on Earth has been used before by somebody or something, gazillions of times. I'm not sure how much a gazillion is, but I think it's more than I have in the bank. Anyway, the very act of using water adds pollutants. You flush, brush, bathe, cook, irrigate, and clean with it. The water collects contaminants from all of those things and more. No matter what's attached itself to that lovely H2O molecule, we can remove it with one type of treatment or another. It's like intervention for chemistry gone bad. And because we can take anything out of water that doesn't belong there, Hillsborough County delivers 50 million gallons of high-quality water to homes and businesses every day. And they guarantee every single drop. Some Hillsborough County drinking water comes from the Alafaya River, some from Tampa Bay, and some from the Florida Aquifer. No matter where it starts, all of this water has to meet the highest drinking water standards before it's delivered to your door. By the ton, I might add. There are a number of ways to purify water. Filtration, sedimentation, what? And reverse osmosis all separate any harmful elements and particles from our high-quality water. Or, as we like to think of it, removes the hangers-on from our lovely H2O molecule. Even sewage can be cleaned, then zapped with air or oxygen, organisms, chemicals, and electricity to eliminate organics. Chemical treatments kill harmful elements while leaving the water healthy and clean. And ultraviolet light breaks down microorganisms. These cleaning processes have become so sophisticated that some communities are recycling what was wastewater into drinking water. Yep, they're drinking potty water. Although, to be fair, less than 0.1% of wastewater comes from the potty. And guess what? Nobody's glowing in the dark. Or the light, for that matter. Think of it this way. Have you ever seen one of those bounce houses for a kiddie party where there are 1,000 balls for kids to get lost in? Imagine that just one of those balls is red. That's how much toilet water is in Hillsborough County's wastewater. Does that mean that there is absolutely nothing but hydrogen and oxygen in your Hillsborough County drinking water? No. That's only true of distilled water, which is basically condensed steam. You save that for your iron. Distilled water doesn't contain minerals that make drinking water taste like, well, drinking water. We don't clean all of our used water to drinking water standards. Lots of things we use water for don't really need that extra and more expensive step. We can strip away everything and leave some nutrients so the water is safe enough to irrigate golf courses, lawns, and landscaping, to operate car washes, and to flush toilets. What's left over, 40% or so, we discharge into Tampa Bay and other coastal areas. Basically, we use it, clean it, and toss it. But what if we could do more with that water we just tossed? What if we could take this lost water and purify it to drinking water standards? Well, we can. The technology is already working this way in other parts of the country. The biggest problem? In our heads. The yuck factor creates the daunting task of convincing people that we can take this, or even this, and turn it into this. All so we can protect that.
Well, before we go back to our panel, let's get another question from a viewer.
Linda Kaplan, Kaplan, from Tampa, Florida. How will recycling water benefit me?
Bart, let me ask you that question. How will recycling the water benefit her and all of us in Hillsborough County?
Well, we've got 16,000 customers that think it's a great idea, and one of the benefits is to do a better job with using your water and water wisely. That is, what we use outdoors, when you recycle the water and use reclaimed water on your lawns and outdoor and non-essential uses or non-essential drinking water.
So that's the 16,000 right now. They're using reclaimed water outdoors.
Correct.
Right.